Welcome to Happy Wife, Happy Life. We're your hosts. I'm Kendahl Landreth.
And I'm Jordan Myrick.
And we are two incredibly unqualified,
but deeply in love comedians who are here to help you with all things relationships.
And on today's episode, we're talking jealousy.
Thanks, Kendahl. We're talking jealousy today.
Jealousy.
Okay, all right.
Do you know that song?
What song is that? It sounds familiar.
I don't know. That's the only two words I know from it.
When I think jealousy, I think, I still get
Jealous.
I love that song.
Woo-wee.
I
and
love
then, you know,
that
the
song.
choir, the church
and
choir
if you
song.
listen to this podcast, you know that Kendahl listens to a gospel
One of
choir
my favorite songs.
rendition of that song, and she loves it. Kendahl, did you feel jealous of anything this week or anyone?
Ooh, I love this. Let's see. Did I feel jealous of anything or anyone? Well, you know, I watched a little Bridgerton this week. Mm-hmm. Whenever Jordan goes out for the night, I always turn on Bridgerton. And
I like Bridgerton, to be clear.
You don't
watched
love
all
it
of
enough.
It's not a rewatch for me.
Sure. And there's a couple shows Jordan rewatches that aren't a rewatch for me, but I push through. But Bridgerton,
I could rewatch Bridgerton if we needed to.
Maybe we do need to. Maybe I should
What
start.
shows are we rewatching for me that you don't like?
I don't. They're too embarrassing to say on this podcast. You like too many little embarrassing shows.
What are they that we're rewatching?
Well, there's a lot of. Well, first of all, Bachelor. It's a lot of dating shows.
I'm not rewatching
Bachelor and Love on the
Bachelor.
Spectrum.
Sometimes I will. Okay, I do like Love on the Spectrum. I find people communicating clearly and kindly to each other endearing. And
Sue
I'm
me.
sorry. Sue me. Lock me up. Okay, I like that. In terms of the Bachelor, a lot of those dating shows, we will put it on and then start doing something.
Yeah.
So I feel like I didn't really absorb all of it. So I'll watch it. And then I'll watch it a second time.
Yeah, I find it. I find it so boring. I like Bachelor and Bachelorette because I'm like, I know what's happening. We're seeing who's gonna date this person. Bachelor in Paradise, which I feel like is everyone's favorite.
It's my favorite.
I find so mind-numbingly boring because I'm just like, yeah, this is just watching people date that I don't care about. Like people that I would never spend time with in real life, dating each other in relationships that always end. I don't care. Versus watching, at least when in The Bachelor, Bachelorette, you're watching people date one person, which is interesting because it's dramatic.
That's fair. So what were you jealous of this week? You watched Bridgerton.
I was watching
I was
Bridgerton. You were out. So I was a little jealous of people in Bridgerton times. I know I say that, but every time I watch it, I'm like, someone's got to get me in a gown like that.
We argue about this all the time. Kendahl's like, what if we lived in Bridgerton times? I'm like, it would be absolutely so terrible. It would be so awful. First of all, no air conditioning. Second of all, we're gay. Third of all, the food, no way. Like every single element of it is bad. I can't even believe that you could even think for 1 second that you want to live back then.
The simplicity of it is what I think maybe I should try to find that in my life because it's like, they just have no responsibilities if you were in the ton at this time. It's like, is that what they call them? The ton?
What?
They call them the ton.
They call
It's like they call the rich people of that time the ton. Like,
I've never heard that.
On the show, they're like, that's why Penelope's character is always like, I'm the laughing stock of the ton.
I don't remember that at all. And are you sure she's not saying town?
No, she's saying ton because I read the books and they say the ton.
I see. I think I thought all these people were saying town in an accent.
I think I did too until I read the books and they were saying the ton. I think now I'm second guessing myself, but it doesn't really matter.
Sure.
Most of what I say on this show isn't real.
100%, yeah.
Anyways, so simple. It's like, yes, so sad, so oppressive. I'm sure it's grass is greener on the other side. But these women wake up and they put on these dresses and they just have to get married. And no, they have no rights and they have no education. And they are not allowed to read or speak really most of the time. But it's just that's all they have to do is get married. And there's something about just this like simple times.
But then you have to have sex with your disgusting husband that you don't know at all and you hate, who's probably 1,000,000 years older than you. And then you have to die during childbirth.
Yeah, right. And you know what? That's a good point. Also, when you bring up the air conditioning, I'm like, that's absolutely unacceptable.
I could never live at a time without air conditioning,
It's
unfortunately.
Also, oh God. And it's a really, you know, I have to remember though, the way that these rich people are living in Bridgerton times is pretty similar to how like maybe the Kardashians live now. What I need to remind myself is no matter what era I live in, I'm not going to be in that group of people.
100%.
I will still be it would have been much worse. If I lived at Bridgerton times, I would be a peasant on the side of the road, begging people to have sex with me. It's my instinct.
All right. There you go.
Which is fine if that's what I want to do, but it would not have been as ideal for me. But if I could be a royalty at that time, I think there's something nice about just like all I have to do is read by the window all day.
Yeah. I still think you're wrong about that, but I love that.
That's who I felt jealousy of. I can't help if I felt jealousy. That's one thing I've learned about jealousy. That emotion, you can't control it.
Okay.
But you can learn how to deal with it.
All right.
What were you jealous of this week?
I was jealous this week. I'm trying to think of everything that happened this week. Oh, sometimes I'll watch videos from like Disney Instagram influencers or TikTok influencers.
Yeah.
And it seems like, and I don't mean this in a rude way, that's their only thought. Do you know what I mean? I'm
Disney.
Like these people, it feels like they have no clue geopolitically what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
It seems like, I see so many of them. They're like, I moved my entire family from wherever I was living to Orlando, Florida to live closer to Disney. And I'm always like, wow, what would that be like for your whole thing to just be going to a theme park and that's your entire life?
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, and maybe they're not. Maybe I'm misreading the situation. Maybe they're really, really socially active. Maybe they're out in their community when they're not posting their videos. Because I also get that when you're an influencer, you have to post the type of videos you promise, or else you will no longer be an influencer.
Well, but there's not even just
have any money.
There's people who do that aren't even influencers. They just live their life for Disney.
I think that's interesting. Someone whose main priority in life is Disney. I'm like, wow, what would that be like? So interesting. Could be kind of nice. I think I felt a little jealous of that.
I think we're both our jealousies are actually very similar.
Yearning for simplicity.
I think we're yearning for simplicity. I think we're yearning for less things taking up our brain.
Yeah.
I think we're yearning for, things are very hard in the world. So I don't think we yearn for less knowledge of that. But I think there's times where it could feel nice to, like, what if I just didn't care? Which I don't want that for myself. But what if I didn't?
But sometimes you're like, what if I had not one single thought in my head?
Right. So I think we both are yearning for more simple lives and I think maybe we can find that in some way.
Wow.
I think maybe in little ways we can find ways. I think we're already doing that. I think we're filling up our schedule less. We're cooking more at home.
Beautiful.
Now we just got to go to Disney.
Now we just have to go to... Yeah, I'm like, can you imagine...
And I have to marry a man?
Yeah. Can you imagine if your one thought was just like, Big Thunder Mountain wait times, or like, not enough salt on this soft pretzel that looks like Mickey's head?
Yeah.
Could be nice.
But then they probably look at, they probably are so close to just losing it. Like those people who like really are into it. It's like there's so much under the surface.
Yeah, but I've already lost it. So what?
No.
I lost it.
I mean, that's like the Bridgerton. You read all these books. People were murdering each other right and left.
What?
Back in the day when Bridgerton took place, people were murdering each other right and left. They were.
Okay.
Women were so, they'd lose it. They would just lose it because they were so oppressed.
Who are you talking about?
Just history books I've read.
Women would lose it and just murder?
Everyone was murdering.
I think you're talking about the plot of the movie Chicago.
When I said I read a history book, I'm talking about I watched
the
Chicago.
Broadway play Chicago.
No, not back then. Way back. Murder was just... People had big emotions. That's what I'm saying. Because they weren't expressing... Women were just like so oppressed that they were like doing, they were going out back getting the axe and cutting their husband. Maybe it's just a movie I saw. This was my perspective.
I need someone to do a fact
check.
Am I
wrong?
On
People
murder proportionally now and then.
Oh, come on, Jordan. You're making me feel crazy. People murdered out the wazoo back then. They did. There was no security cameras. You could not prove anything. People were murdering. And first of all, people were marrying children.
Okay.
And no one cared about that. So you think the murder was less back then when they were marrying 12-year-olds? Come on, wake up.
Okay. All right.
Go watch Chicago and learn.
Yeah. I do love Chicago, the movie and musical. And so I guess I'll check that out as a reference point. Thank you, Kendahl, for enlightening me on that.
That's what I'm here for.
So, this is a great segue because Chicago, the movie, is all about jealousy.
Jealousy.
Jealousy of your partner, jealousy of people who have more success than you, women having jealousy of other women. God, I wish this episode was just about Chicago.
God, yes.
Chicago. The musical, is great. I've seen it on Broadway.
The
It's great. I love it. But the
movie
movie.
is good Lord.
Oh, the movie is good.
You know what I'll say?
Say it.
It's a hot take.
I want to hear
I
it.
think a lot of times movies are better than shows. Wait for it, because I think set designers are on shows and they're amazing, but I think scenery and cinematography is real art. And I remember seeing
Yep.
I'm so smart. I remember seeing Mamma Mia on Broadway when I was a little girl and being like, everything about this is amazing, but you can't recreate the biggest star of the movie, which is Grease. Not the musical Grease, the place Grease.
I see. I was like, she's jumping around all of them.
You can't recreate the environment. So I think there's some shows that are equally good movie or better in the show, but if there's ever for example, I saw Willy Wonka on Broadway. Now, very fun.
That's different though, because that's a musical based on a movie/book.
All right.
That's not a musical first.
So, but Grease.
I don't listen, this is shocking because Grease is my favorite movie.
I assumed the play.
I don't know if Grease was a musical first or a movie first. So we'll have to find that out and then come back to you. But when I think about shows that are better than the movie, it's shows where the show came first, typically, except for Chicago. But like Rent, the show's better than the movie.
I've never seen the movie. What about Mary Poppins?
Mary Poppins, the movie, is better than the musical.
Right, but I think the musical came out first.
Did it?
God, this is a nightmare conversation because I don't have an answer.
Kendall
to any
doesn't
of this.
know any.
Neither
of
do
these
you, though.
facts.
I don't know when
our
any of these
producer
came
Blake
out.
is probably texting me. Let's see, because he's like a musical theater freak.
Our producer Blake just went to New York and saw 10 Broadway shows.
10 in like 5
I didn't even
days.
know there were 10
I was like, how
on
is
Broadway
that
at
even
the moment.
possible? How is it even possible? Mary Poppins was a movie first. Blake is confirming.
Okay.
So Mary Poppins is better. It was a movie first.
God, I saw Mary Poppins on Broadway with my parents, and it was so good the first half. It was great the second half, but the first half was amazing. Then at intermission, they're like, sorry, the girl who plays, what's her name?
Mary Poppins?
No, the little girl.
Oh, I don't know.
The girl who plays the little girl is sick, and she's going home, so the understudy is going out. The understudy comes out. I swear to God, this is what she sounds like. Mary Poppins! I was like, is a mouse playing? What is going on? And it ruined the whole show. She was also so small. Like, I actually was like, they had Stuart Little's sister come out and play.
I mean, I think that child actors should not exist.
But usually, and I feel like when there's, especially with children, the understudies all look the same. There was like a 13-year-old girl playing it, doing a wonderful job. And then they brought out this tiny little girl who talked like Minnie Mouse. And I was like, this is insufferable. And
No
it was
child
bad
actors.
because I was 8 at the time.
And you knew it was bad.
And still was like, good Lord, she sounds terrible.
I think we have to eradicate child actors. None of it. It's so wrong. They're not good. Even the best child actors, what you're watching and seeing, you're being like, wow, that's really impressive for a child. I don't want it. I don't want to be impressed. Also, just like let them go to school and be normal. Child actors are not well.
Make Bella Ramsey play every child.
Make Bella Ramsey play every child. They deserve to play every child. And Bella Ramsey can't be the only person out there. There has to be other people. Gaston?
Gatton
Mazzarato?
Gat Mazzarato.
Isn't that his name?
All you need is Gat Mazzarato and
Or
Bella
Gaten?
Ramsey.
God,
You
do
don't
we
need
know
more.
one single thing on this episode?
No, so let's stop talking about pop culture and Broadway shows because we don't know. We're idiots, Jordan. What we
Well,
know about
okay.
is jealousy because we're weird.
Because we're weird. We're perfect at dating. All right, let me get the questions out.
Um,
Also, Blake says that Grease was a show first. So that's one where
and come on,
the movie's better. I mean, Grease
the movie is.
I mean, I think Grease the movie is the best movie that's ever been made.
But you can't. The amount of set, obviously the set for Grease, the musical is amazing, but you can't do what they do in the. There's just so much more you can do.
Yeah, but sometimes you don't need it, and sometimes the movie feels corny. Hairspray is a tricky one because the John Waters Hairspray movie is perfect, 10 out of 10. The Hairspray musical, incredible,
And you
also
don't
a 10
really
out of 10.
need it. You don't really need the sets. I don't think the sets of Grease are not the sets. I don't think in the movie, the fact that they can take place in a real street is adding to Hairspray.
Sure. And then Hairspray, the movie, the second time with John Travolta, I didn't love.
Really? I was about to say we can't take your advice on anything about John Travolta because you're so in love with him.
I guess not him as a person. I love him as Danny Zuko in Grease.
He's really
I'm
hot.
so deeply affected by it. Okay, we have so many questions. We have to get to it. This person wants to know, where does jealousy stem from, and is it always from a place of insecurity?
We don't have know.
No clue.
And that's actually the beautiful thing about this podcast is we actually, we have
it's
no
all
information.
Opinion-based.
It's all made up, and we might be wrong.
I do think there are two roots of jealousy,
you
though.
Just flipped me off.
Fuck you.
Jordan put
I
two
held
fingers
up 2 fingers.
Okay,
I think there are 2 roots for jealousy. Either one, you're jealous and the jealousy is warranted. Like, you're like, hey, I'm jealous of how much time you're spending with your best friend. And they're like, what? You're crazy. And then, like, you guys break up and then they immediately start dating their best friend. That jealousy was warranted. It was not jealousy. You had a weird feeling. Then there's jealousy of insecurity. And I think those are the 2 types of jealousy. And that's it.
All right.
That's what I think.
There you go.
What's the line between jealousy and being controlling?
I think jealousy untended to is controlling.
Sure.
Slap that on a shirt.
Put that on a shirt.
I think jealousy is a feeling we all feel at varying degrees. I think there are people who, God, you've met them. It's like all they feel. You're like, you just feel jealousy 24/7.
Of everyone and everything. It's exhausting.
Right. Even my dog, you're somehow jealous of. I don't understand. Versus like, I do not find that I feel jealousy often, but I've definitely had it. Like there have been times I've felt jealousy. You see someone that you don't like that was rude to you one time get a huge opportunity in the industry. Ooh, hurt, sucks.
Well, sometimes you even feel jealousy and you know what? I said there's 2 routes of jealousy. It's not even always that. I am your biggest cheerleader. I'm your biggest fan. I would lay down and die for you right now.
Okay, wow.
Literally, I would. I felt jealous of you before.
Yeah, we've talked about that. Yeah, I feel like it. And I think you probably feel more, well, but I also have to be aware, to be honest. I think sometimes I'm like, I don't feel jealousy, but I also, this sounds so bitchy, I don't have a lot to be jealous of. I mean, sorry. I mean, but truly, I think it's easy for people like, it's easy for people who...
I mean, you're young and you've gotten successful.
And I'm in a wonderful relationship.
And you're in a good relationship. You're conventionally attractive.
I have wonderful
you're
parents.
White. Yeah,
I
think you've...
Thank you. I don't know if I'm conventionally attractive, but...
You've been very set up for success and you've worked hard for what you have, but I understand what you're saying. You've never been jealous of me?
To be honest, no, I think I feel really happy for you. I think I just get really excited. I think I admire you so much that I think when I see you get something, I don't think I could do it. So I don't really feel
That's
jealousy.
Crazy. You could do anything that I do.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think I look at things you do and I don't think that. I think I'm like, well, no one could do it like Jordan. So what would I be jealous of? Because the jealousy would be like, I want to do it. And I don't think I could do it like you could do it. So I feel just happy for you. Versus, if you got cast as alongside Dawn French in a character piece where you played a big... I think I would feel like a little jealousy. I still feel so happy for you.
Yeah.
But I think it's hard because I don't find that... I think you're just so good at what you do, and I don't always think that I would never want to do it because if I was working on that project, I would have hired you over me.
Sure. So then let me reframe mine. I don't necessarily think I've gotten jealous of you. I think sometimes I can get a chip on my shoulder because sometimes people are very rude to me and nice to you because they perceive our social status differently. And that can feel really bad.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I understand. But to be clear, I wasn't saying there's nothing to be jealous because I have a perfect life.
Well, that is literally what you said. So
I just want to be clear. I think I'm very grateful for I think I'm aware that I shouldn't be giving advice to someone who's a 40-year-old who's been working at being an actor for 30 years when I just haven't experienced that.
Yes, 100%.
I was very lucky. I think I worked really hard, but also I am the fact that I get to do what I love for a living at 24 is wild. So when it comes to I think it would be, I'd need to check myself if I started feeling a lot of career jealousy. Because I think that would start to be, I think I could feel it. There are people that get stuff that is cooler than things I've gotten that I think is awesome, that I'm like, oh, that'd be cool. I think I have to check myself because it's I'm really lucky. I think what you felt like disrespect in the past from people, which I don't think is jealousy. I think it's your feelings getting hurt.
Yeah, and it's not even that I care what people think, but sometimes it's just exhausting to constantly be in situations with people that don't think I have any value because they find my social status less than yours. And I don't even care what those people think, but I'm just it's so annoying, especially in work settings, because then you have to be around those people.
But you know what? I think, and I've said this, but I think it's a benefit to us because I think it shows it shows people's true colors immediately, and we just know who to never like hang out with again.
Well, I also think it shows you who's dumb, because I'm like, in what world do you think you could be nice to Kendahl and rude to me, and Kendahl would like that?
Well, it's also just ridiculous because it's like you know, I see this all the time at influencer events where there'll be someone standing in the corner who's literally like the biggest comedy agent in LA, and no one's talking to them, and everyone's like surrounding James Charles being like, hey, come on. It's like, what the fuck do you think he's gonna do?
Yeah, what do you think James Charles can do for your career?
And then like no one's even asking the name. I remember walking up to this girl. You were with me at that event, and I was like, we were just chatting about something
with this woman, and she was with her husband.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, oh, do you make content? And she was like, no, I'm nobody. I'm sorry. I'm not, I don't. And I asked like her name, and she was like, I'm not an influencer. I was like, oh, I don't care.
I don't care.
And then throughout the conversation, I found out, yeah, she's like this huge comedy agent. I was like, why are you, that is bizarre. Anyone's made you feel less than. You're so much, and not that I'm talking to you for value, but if I were to be a social climber, you should be the person I'm trying to climb.
That's what I'm saying. If you're going to be a social climber, be smart about it. Be smart, be manipulative. Yeah. Otherwise, you are wasting your time. I see that so much in this industry of people just being like, yeah, I'm going to suck up to James Charles. It's like, okay.
Cool, good luck. But the question is, what's the difference between it being controlling and jealousy, right?
Yes.
Or was that a different question?
No, that was the question.
We just got a little far off. But
Sorry, we really ranted on that.
I was just making sure that's still the question we're on. I think that jealousy unchecked is kind of the word I was looking for. Is controlling. You can have any feeling. You can't control what feelings you have. If you feel jealousy, I'm sure you would rather not feel jealousy. So it's not something you can control, but you can control how you respond to it. You can control whether or not you find that you're acknowledging that you feel that often, that's a thing that shouldn't affect other people in your life. But I think if you just go, well, jealousy, I think jealousy can get very glorified, especially honestly in the lesbian community a little bit, any community, I guess. But I feel like lesbians are really like, that's oh yeah, I'm jealous. I'm a jealous girl. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I think when you start to allow it to just run rampant, that's going to be a really bad relationship.
I also think, and we've said this before, it really depends on like quantity and quality as well. So if you're always jealous, that's a you problem. You need to sit down and like really think about that and figure out what your deal is. If you're never jealous, but you have this vibe about your boyfriend and this one girl he hangs out with, I think you can trust your gut and have a conversation about that.
Well, that's the thing with anyone. It's like, you know, when you take something seriously from someone, we all have someone in your life where it's just like, they don't get along with anybody. They just hate everybody. And so, yeah, when they go, yeah, I ran into this person, I didn't like them, you just take it with a grain of salt. Because you're like, versus if you came up to me, or like my best friend Nicole called me and was like, there's this person I really don't want you to talk to anymore, I would be like, what did they do?
Yeah.
Like, I would be so shocked. Versus I have friends who I feel like do that every 2 days.
Yeah, they're like, I hate them, I hate them, I hate them. It's like, okay,
but
you hate everybody.
If you told me, I think there's only one and you didn't say it, you can't see them, but I think there's been one person in our entire relationship you've been like, that makes me a little uncomfortable. No.
Oh,
we're whispering it to each other. That's not so annoying. But just so we're on the same page. So I guess 2 people a little bit. But nothing was happening, to be clear, but it was just someone you were like, that's making me a little uncomfortable. It feels like they are being a little weird to you. And I was like, I agree with you.
Well, and we were able to talk about it, which goes into the next question too, which is, do I keep it in and figure it out myself, or do I talk to my partner about it? And I think you really have to be aware of the situation. So in both of these situations over the 4 years we were dating, these were times when I felt like women were being inappropriate with Kendahl, as Kendahl is someone with a partner, and Kendahl is so nice. She is like, well, they're not flirting with me, they're just being nice.
Well, I will say it is confusing because, and I've started to get, but I don't want to sound like I'm some like annoying person. It's like, I didn't know. But when you're a lesbian, girls, this is very gendered, obviously, but in general, it's like, me and my best friends, we laugh, we touch each other's hand.
Women are like socialized to be more touchy, to be more whatever with their friends than men are.
I have friends of mine that like, you know, have laid their heads on my lap and I've played with their hair, but they're straight. It's like not, so it's very different. So it is confusing sometimes when you're hanging out with someone and they laugh and they touch your shoulder, versus if like I was on a date, I would obviously think that was flirting. If I was straight and a man did that to me, I might think that was flirting. But I think it can get a little confusing. But then there are things where I think it for me was telling, it's like I kept bringing you up to be like, I just want to be clear, like, I have a girlfriend. And when they continue to kind of like not talk about you or like introduce. I mean, we were in situations where they weren't like, you were there, and I kept being like bringing you into the conversation. They're kind of ignoring you.
I'll tell you what. One of these people tried to get Kendahl to go to Vegas with her. This was like 2 years into our relationship. She was like, I'm going to Vegas this weekend. You should come. I was like, get out of here.
Anyways, but I took those really seriously because Jordan does not do that. Like, Jordan has never, I hang out with anyone. Jordan's not like, if I go, oh, I'm going to hang out with a friend, I don't even think both ways. I don't even think I really ask unless it's out of interest. You'll be like, oh, I'm going to brunch with Nina. And I'm like, oh, who's Nina? Oh, just a girl. But I don't have any feelings of like, no, who is that? And why are you going out? Like, we're pretty much full free reign to do whatever we want. I don't think there's any question of who we're allowed to hang out with. So when you brought to me, like, not you're not allowed to hang out with her, but genuine, like, oh, it makes me a little uncomfortable, I take that very seriously.
Yeah, that's also not how I said it.
I don't remember. What do you mean?
I was like, this bitch needs to back off.
Okay, yeah, that is right. Right. Yeah, that's exactly what you said. And I, first of all, didn't care about this person at all, and we were not friends. I was just like, great, yeah, I'll, whatever. But first of all, it's like, you never say anything like that, so I took it very seriously, versus if you find that your partner is just jealous of every single person, that is a different conversation.
Yeah, and even with that, I was not jealous. No jealousy to be had. But also...
Well, we were both mad because it was rude to you.
It's disrespectful. I'm like, if you're being disrespectful, it's too much. You got to go away.
Yeah, I agree.
And people will say things that are wild, and they can't do that.
Yeah, people will say really bizarre things. Like, I feel like when we were out dancing or something, people will say stuff that's weird because they know. People feel like they know you from the internet. And
so they'll say things that are like a little too forward, where you're like,
yeah,
hey, cool it. This also relates, wow, we're just segueing through each question.
Wow.
In sapphic relationships, how do you connect and not feel jealous of a woman best friend?
I really don't know, because I really have not experienced that. I even think like Jordan and I have a lot of lesbian friends.
Yeah.
And I just don't think about it. Like, I would never be friends with someone. I would never be friends with someone I have a crush on, ever. I would never initiate a friendship with someone. And obviously, I'm in a committed relationship, so I don't have a crush on anyone. But I would never even initiate a friendship with someone I'm like, they're really cute. You know what I mean? Or like, oh, they're a hot lesbian. And you know what I mean? Like a sex, like, oh, they're like flirty with me. I would never think to start a friendship with that person, because that feels, single or not single, not a friendship vibe to me.
Absolutely.
But I think like I have even lesbian friends, but it's so much, I don't even think about the fact that we're both gay ever.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree. I just feel like I never think about anyone else. So it's not even, I don't even ever give it a second thought, because I'm only ever thinking about you. So I don't know, I just would never feel
But neither
jealous.
of us have ever given a reason for the other to think they would cheat on the other person. So I think it's like, you have to look inward to think, well, am I, like, if I was constantly afraid Jordan was going to cheat on me, I think that would not be a conversation that needed to be had with you. That would be a conversation that needed to have with me and my therapist, because you've never done anything to make me think that.
Yeah.
If you cheated on me, that's a different conversation.
And then that's a conversation between you and I.
Right, exactly. So I think it is just figuring out why you feel those feelings, because I just think at the end of the day, you can't control whether or not someone's going to cheat on you. And you, unfortunately, have to find a way to be okay with that. Like,
absolutely.
That would have used to feel impossible to me. But where I'm at now, I think if you cheated on me, I would be very upset and hurt, and I would miss you. But I would not feel like my world was crashing around me. I think I would be like, I'm still glad we had a relationship, because it was a wonderful relationship. Yeah. But I'm glad I didn't live those 6 years or however much it was
in fear
that you were going to cheat on me, because
absolutely.
I can't control it. And I don't have those fears because you don't make me feel that way. But if your partner is constantly like flirting with other people, making you feel that way, that's a different thing. But I just think sometimes it's like your partner has to be able to have other friendships and people in their life of the same gender or opposite genders. And that is well-rounded and healthy and good.
Absolutely. This person says, and I think it ties into this, as a lesbian, I have a fear of committing to a bi woman sometimes because I worry she will always wonder/miss certain aspects of being with a man. How do I overcome that? And I think it really relates to what Kendahl was just saying. Anyone can cheat on you. A bisexual woman could cheat on you, a woman with another woman. It's not unique for someone to cheat on someone else. And I think bi people have really good perspective on it. And I identified as bisexual for so long. But I think you have good perspective on really knowing that dating a man and dating a woman are not that different.
Yep.
Dating is dating. Men are bad, women are bad, men are good, women are good, non-binary people are good and bad. Like, it doesn't really matter. And so sometimes I think like those are fears that you're having within yourself because you're feeling inadequate in some way. You're scared that you can't provide something a man might be able to provide this person. I think most likely a bisexual person is not actively thinking, well, men provide me this and women provide me this.
Well, right, because it's also different from person to person, even the same gender. It's like if you, because my instincts when they say that, it's like misdating a man. And my first thought was like, well, what can a man do that a woman can't? Maybe put me over their head because they're so strong. I'm thinking of Channing Tatum, of course.
Of course, because that's the only man you think about.
That's the only man I have eyes for. So most men, though, can't do that.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
Ilona
Mar could put you over their head.
Exactly. And some women could put me over their head.
Yeah.
So what are we missing about being with a man? Because you don't miss, it's really not, I mean, if you're dating a gamer guy who's never been to the gym a day in his life, he can't lift you over his head.
Yeah. And like,
and he probably has back issues.
A good relationship is a good relationship is a good relationship. And if you get into a relationship with this person and they want to open the relationship up, that's something that could potentially be it. But it's like, yeah, if you're dating someone, that means you're not dating other people, and you should be just as concerned about a lesbian wishing she was dating other women as being with a bisexual woman who you're worried about wanting to date other men, and not because it's like, there's no, it's just not helpful.
And it's a bummer too, because I think, I've seen many relationships with a lesbian and a bisexual woman that are so wonderful because they both feel really, if I can go, oh, I'm trying to think of a lesbian.
What are you trying to say?
If I can say Kristen Stewart is really hot in Love Lies Bleeding and I'm dating someone who's bisexual, they should be able to go, oh my God, Paul Rudd is all I can think, was so hot in this thing. And that shouldn't make you feel more weird than you saying, like, you should both be able to have your sexualities and live truthfully and be. Because if she cheats on you, but now we're back, and if she cheats on you, she cheats on you, but she has it. So relax, and empower each other to be proud of being bisexual and gay or whatever it is, because then it shouldn't be a problem. But I think if you're constantly making them repress that they're bisexual because you would rather them just identify as a lesbian, well, nothing on the inside of them changes except now they might feel like, okay, I wish I could explore my bisexuality somewhere else.
Yeah, that's a you problem, not a them problem. Also, kind of flattering when a bisexual person chooses you because they could choose anyone.
Yeah.
Kendahl has a much smaller pool to choose me from.
Right.
Bisexuals could date anybody.
Yeah.
And they choose you.
It's beautiful.
Why don't you think of it that way?
Yeah, I agree.
This is a two-parter or a one-parter that they've split up into two boxes. Is being jealous sexy? Sometimes I act jealous because I think my partner likes it, but I don't really know. I might just be acting weird.
Dude, this is me all the time. I feel like I will read something in a book and I'm like, I'm going to say that to Jordan. And then I'm like, is this hot or just something that isn't hot? I don't know. And usually I think it's probably not. I don't know. But I think it is sexy if it's a joke. Like, that's what I think. If it's not real, it's sexy. Like, or if it's real, but it's not like a big deal and it is for both of your enjoyment. That is sexy. If it is for you to get your feelings across and it makes them feel bad, it's not sexy.
Yeah, I think if it's real jealousy, it's not sexy. But if it's play jealousy, could be hot.
And if it leads to sex, I mean, if we were at a bar and I was talking to a girl and you came up to me and was like, can I talk to you? And was like, don't talk to that girl anymore. And then
you're talking to me.
Home. Right, exactly. Yeah. That's hot. But if you were just like, hey, come here. Seriously, don't talk to her anymore. Is he upset? And then you were just in a mood all night and then we went home and we're fighting. That is not sexy.
Not sexy at all.
Right.
You kind of got to read the room, I guess.
Well, yeah, if it's sexy, make it sexy. But you just being mean is not sexy.
Yeah, 100%.
If it's sexy, then have sex.
Whoa.
If you're fighting, it's not sexy, right?
If it's sexy, have sex.
Right, unless you're asexual, but then if it's sexy, don't have sex. I don't get it. I don't know what to say. But if you're fighting at the end of it, or both, one of you feels bad, it's not sexy.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily you acting weird per se, but I think feel it out. Do they seem like they like it? then they probably like it.
Yeah, I would love to see their reaction if you're so confused.
Yeah.
They're just every time being like, okay.
Also, are you actually jealous? I think that's a huge difference. If you're really jealous of your partner's ex-wife that they have to actively co-parent with, not sexy, right?
Every time
not
it's like drop off, you're trying to be sexy.
Yeah, not sexy at all, not the right time, doesn't make sense. If you are being like, don't look at her, look at me, could be sexy. Kendahl and I like to do this bit, and by Kendahl and I like to do this bit, I mean I like to do this bit to Kendahl, where I'll be like, you come here often? And Kendahl will be like, oh my God. And then I'll be like, you single? And then Kendahl is not sure what to say. And I think it's really funny because whatever Kendahl does, I will react the opposite way to it. So if Kendall's like, yeah, I'm single, I'm like, wait, what? You're single? Like, we're married. What are you talking about?
And then I'll be like, wait, no, I am not single. And then you're like, then why are you talking to me at this bar?
Yeah, I'll be like, wait, then why are you talking to me at this bar? And Kendahl gets really flustered.
I'm like, work.
It's so funny. She really tries to do it right. And I just won't let her because I think it's real funny. But I don't know. Has there ever been a time that you felt like jealousy was sexy?
Like I think fake jealousy is sexy. I think that's really hot. I like feeling like
desired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I'm yours, you know, but in a like I said, not like I'm trying to go to work and you're like,
you can't go to work.
Put this Apple, what is it called?
An AirTag?
Put this AirTag in your shoe. Like that's not fun. But like when you're jokingly like, you're mine and nobody else's, I think that's hot.
I feel like I thought jealousy was sexier when I was still dating men because it showed me that they cared at all.
Yeah.
And I think so if they were jealous, I would be like, ooh, oh my gosh, they actually like me. And I think that felt valuable. That's not good.
Yeah, I
speaking from experience, that's not good.
So true because I feel like I've passed relationships where like I was so like they don't like me. So if I was out talking to a girl and they came up and were like, "Hey, that's my girlfriend you're talking to," I would have been like, "Oh my God,
girlfriend!"
Wow. But if you did that, I would have been like, "Jordan, be cool.
Relax.
What is wrong with you?"
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
All right, we got our last question.
But I'm just saying, if you ever want to pull me aside at a party and do that little bit,
all right. If you see Kendahl and I at a party having a big fight, that's what it is. It's a sexy, jealous.
I'm clapping my hands the whole time. You're screaming at me.
This is our last question for right now. How do you get over the love of your life, especially when it ended on good terms? So I imagine that relates to like, how do you not feel jealousy after you've ended this relationship on good terms, but you still feel jealous?
Well, I think you can't not feel jealous.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the thing. You just have to be able to figure out how to do both, how to enjoy your life and feel jealous, because that is, but also think of it as I think don't view it as a failure is always helpful too, of like, what an amazing season of your life, or not amazing, but hopefully amazing season of your life. And now you're going to get to experience so much, maybe more than even other people who just stay in relationships get to experience, where you get to go find a new love. You could go on a solo trip. You could do so much, and you might feel jealousy and sadness through all of that, but view it as like living. Like I feel like I never felt such deep emotions as I did when I was like going through my first breakup. And that was really hard, and I would never want to do it again. You feeling those feelings is, you know, proof of living, and like is like you're experiencing something and learning something and learning about yourself. And so just don't try to not feel those feelings. Just feel them and try to learn about them and about yourself and take the time to do that. But I think it's like there is always, I'm not trying to be like toxic positivity, but I think there's a way to frame everything in a really positive way sometimes, especially when it comes to life experiences like a breakup, of how much you've learned and how much you get to grow, and how, I mean, even though it's so much harder to end on good terms, and I totally get that, it is at the end of the day nice, and like, and a statement on you and that other person that like you guys totally could both go and get into another healthy relationship, because look how you ended this long one.
Now, that being said, I think that you also have to try to not feel jealous of markers of things that maybe don't actually matter.
Oh, yeah.
Like if that person gets into a relationship, a new relationship before you do, that doesn't mean they're successful and you're not. I mean, a lot of the people that I've dated have gotten in relationships almost immediately after we broke up, and I waited longer, and those relationships of theirs typically did not last. And like now I'm engaged to be wed. So I think that's not them doing anything wrong either. It's just different, and everybody's different, and everybody needs different things. So don't look at them moving or dating or anything,
and processes stuff differently too.
Yeah, as a
they might be
reflection of
someone
you.
who goes out to party every night when they're sad, and you think like, well, why are they doing that? Like that seems like they don't even care. Like they're just having fun, and it's like that's just the way they process. or not process their feelings and just don't take it personally and don't feel jealous about that.
It's so easy after a relationship to be like, I care so much and that person doesn't think about me at all. And like 95% of the time, that is not true. That would be unhinged. If you dated for a long time and had a mostly good relationship and then you broke up and you still thought about them and they didn't think about you at all, that's few and far between. And if they are like that, then they probably didn't care about you that much and it's good you got another relationship. So I think you have to remember that like you're both going through a breakup. You're not the only one going through a breakup.
Totally.
You know, it's so easy to be like, I'm going through this breakup and they're just like living their best life.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're probably thinking the same thing about you.
Right. Totally.
You know?
Well, when's the moment you felt jealous of me? You ever feel jealous when I'm talking to someone or?
Oh, sexually jealous? Yeah. No. I don't ever really feel jealousy. Like I was saying earlier, it's like, I think that.
Well, it's because I'm very loyal.
Well, yeah, I'm just like not worried. And also like any, you know, professionally, like you were saying, like you deserve everything you get and I want nothing but the best for you. And also like things that are good for you are also good for me. So it doesn't ever make sense to really be jealous. But there are things like in our careers where, you know, we're both comedians. We both went to acting school. If you got to star in a Melissa McCarthy movie, I would be over the moon excited for you.
Yeah.
I'm sure there would be a part of me that was like, okay,
damn,
could be cool if I could also do that. Doesn't mean I don't want you to have it. It just means that I would, you know, you have those feelings of like, but everybody has that kind of stuff. And I think you don't need to demonize it. I think you can be like, oh, I wish I had that, while also being like, I'm so glad you have that.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to remember. And then sexually, no, I don't feel jealous. What would I feel jealous of?
No, and I just was wondering if maybe
you have eyes for no one but me.
That's true, but I just didn't know if there's ever a time where you're like, I don't even want to talking to those people.
No,
just make something up.
You're obsessed with me, and I think that's important for everyone to know. We're obsessed with each other, so no. But those two people that needed to back off.
I know, seriously.
And they've backed off.
Well, sure, I haven't seen.
They were freaks. Kendall's scared they're going to listen to this podcast episode and know it's about them. That's why Kendall's being like this. Kendall's like, they're going to listen and they're going to know it's about them and then they're going to reach out.
Wanting them to know that it could happen.
No, you're just so non-confrontational. You're scared they're going to listen to this and then send you a DM.
No, that actually wouldn't, because I would be like, you're being nuts. I think I'm always just like, it's so hard when people are flirty, but they're doing it in a way where they could easily, it feels so mean, because for me to go, hey, it's making me a little uncomfortable, you're flirting with me, I have a girlfriend, they could so easily go, I wasn't flirting with you.
You're ugly.
You know what I mean? They do that. They ride that line of like, it is you are flirting with me, but you're doing it in a way that could also be construed as not flirting with me and just being like really friendly.
Well, these two people crossed over a line though, and they could never say they were not flirting with you.
No, I agree with you, but I think it's like you always get scared that a person is gonna like make you feel like a weirdo, which I'm not scared, but you're like, it was hard to like, I'm like, I think it would be so much easier if I was straight and it was a man.
Yeah.
Because the boundaries are so much tighter there, versus in lesbian relationships. Like, I have really close friends that are lesbians and we all three sit on a couch and watch movies together with our arms around each other. It's like, if I came over and someone's husband did that to me, I would be like, is anyone else seeing this? This is really weird, right? But it's weird. It's different with women. It is different.
Yeah, like the culture.
The queer community, at least.
The queer community is different, but also just like how people are socialized typically is very, very different. But
so I think if I was straight and I was with my husband and a man came up and was talking to me and was like, we should go see a movie sometime, it would be very normal for me to go, actually, this is my husband. But with lesbians, that's not weird to ask you to a movie, because you could be friends and you and I. People say that lesbians aren't friends with each other and they've all had sex with each other. I do not have that experience. I have like so many lesbian friends and we are all like usually in serious relationships and absolutely not flirting with each other in any capacity.
I've never had sex with any of my lesbian friends.
Never. People say that's common. I've never had that. But I think so if I met a lesbian at a bar and me and you were there together and they were like, we should just go see a movie sometime, I would not be like, it would be weird for me to go, oh, I'm actually in a relationship. Because I feel like they'd be like, okay, yeah.
It's vibes, though. I don't think you're always good at picking up vibes.
No, I'm starting to fucking learn. I told my therapist that the other day. I was like, I feel like I used to think I had a good judge of character, but apparently not.
You're not.
I don't know. I give people a lot of grace.
Yeah, which I think is really, really sweet.
I actually think I have a good judge of character. Like, I think my gut tells me stuff, but I just don't listen because I don't want, and I want to make sure. I don't know.
I think you're trying to give people the benefit of the doubt, which is really, really kind. And I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, but I also do. I think I'm a good judge of character and vibes.
Yeah, I think it's so hard because I think I am a good judge of character, but I just don't think I listen to it, which is what I'm working on in therapy now, is listening to my gut.
Gotta listening
to when I leave and I'm like, oh, I've never felt worse about myself, and not going, and instead going out more with that person to make myself try to feel better, but I just keep feeling worse and worse.
Yeah.
And worse.
I'm just saying, I think a big takeaway for everyone from this episode is you can't ask someone in a relationship to go to Las Vegas with you. A stranger.
A stranger. That is the difference. That you know what that is, because I'm like, it does get blurred where it's like, well, I have lesbian friends that if they text me right now, I'm like, let's go to Vegas. I'd be like, let's go.
Yeah.
But you,
a stranger,
but a stranger, that's bizarre.
Come
that's
on.
weird if you're single. I'm sorry. Are you trying to get hurt?
Are you trying to get hurt?
You don't want to go to Vegas with someone you don't know.
You don't want to go to Vegas with Kendahl. You'll definitely get hurt. The way she
does
does it.
The way I gamble, honey. Just kidding. Here's what I'll say.
Wild in Vegas.
I go wild in Vegas because a Jello shot is so fun to me.
Yeah.
And when they just come around with those on trays, I'm talking 17 Jello shots. I love a Jello shot.
If you listen, we love to meet all y'all in real life. If you ever see us in Vegas,
just walk away.
Do not approach Kendahl.
Because not because of me. I will be very happy to see you.
But you
will not be happy to see me.
You hadn't started that.
I will be so drunk. That's what's so funny. I do not drink. We always talk about this in Vegas. I don't really drink. I don't do drugs. But when you take me to Vegas, I become someone we don't know.
Kendall's different in Vegas.
When I'm in Vegas, I'm in a cowgirl hat. I'm wearing a fun shirt I got in the gift shop, and I am drunk.
Yeah. And I'm scared.
And you're scared. No, what you're doing, Jordan's also not fun in Vegas because Jordan will gamble $20 and for the next 6 months be like, I'm still thinking about that $20.
Vegas is everything wrong with me. Vegas inflames every single one of my deepest anxieties unless I am sitting center orchestra at a Cirque du Soleil show. That's the only type of Vegas that I want to be a part of. Other than that, I have such bad money panic, and I hate making irresponsible choices, irresponsible decisions. I can't gamble. It makes me way too anxious. I can only do penny slots for a little bit, but even then I still get anxious. I lost $100 on the Ghostbusters remake slot machine last year.
$100 we were gifted by Jordan's parents.
We went to Vegas for Kendall's birthday, and my parents gave Kendahl $100 as her birthday gift to spend in Vegas, which was so cute and sweet. We spent it on a Ghostbusters remake slot machine, and I lost it, and I still think about it to this day. I hate it. Also, I hate the heat. And I get so agitated when I'm hot. So Vegas is like a nightmare for me. I don't like to be in a room where people are smoking cigarettes because it makes me wish I was smoking a cigarette, a thing I don't do.
You can do it if you're in Vegas.
No, I shouldn't be smoking cigarettes. It's not good for me. So I don't like to be in a room where people are smoking cigarettes. I don't like that they ID you all the time in the casinos. That feels weird. I don't like seeing people who are really drunk. That makes me feel so uncomfortable and embarrassed.
You don't like when I'm really drunk either.
No,
and
I
I'm
get so
drunk.
anxious and nervous and like secondhand embarrassment, but also like, why am I embarrassed for them? Like nothing's wrong.
Wow, it's the opposite for me. I feel so little embarrassment because Vegas feels like I can say whatever because no matter what I'm doing, someone in a close proximity is doing something so much worse.
It's also so funny. What do you mean you can say whatever? What do you want to say in Vegas that you're not able to say here in Los Angeles?
I just like, if I want to skip through the halls, I can. If I want to go out to the pool with a really small bikini and cannonball into the pool, yeah, it'll annoy someone, but it's not the worst thing they've seen that day. Probably not even the first person to cannonball in that hour. Vegas is free because Vegas it's kind of like when you're in a family that's a bit bad. And so then you go to it's like you're such a star because you don't really, even
you're
if
like the best one in a bad family.
Yeah, you're like the best one in the bad family, but you didn't really do anything really that great. But you're just like, God, it feels like I'm really succeeding. That's what Vegas is. You can do no wrong.
Yeah, I need to know. Please drop it in the comments. Are you a Kendahl or a Jordan when it comes to Las Vegas?
And while you're down there, make sure to like, comment, subscribe on this video if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, make sure to rate and review. And make sure to join our Patreon. We've got some great stuff going on over there. And as always, happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Jealousy.
Thanks so much for watching. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.